my fellow readers, this is Dark Symphony 777 with another fan fiction review. As always, a link to the story will be in the description below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, click on the bell for notifications, leave a comment in the comment section below on your thoughts of the story, and finally listen to my opinion. My opinion is not indicative of everyone in the world, so please respect that. So, the story I'm doing a review of is The Crystal Kingdom by Tiana Koopa. It is a Mario fan fiction, and if I remember right, she actually specifically asked me to review one of her longer stories, and no, this was actually one of the stories she wanted me to review. If I remember right. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I know she's subscribed to this channel. Just correct me. However, I will say this up front. This is gonna be a very, very quick one, specifically in regards to the review, because there's not a lot to talk about with the review itself. Most of this video is gonna be on the backstage stuff, not backstage stuff. Why am I saying backstage stuff? The writing part of it. But yeah, let's actually get into the review itself. So the story actually begins in Bowser's castle. Bowser's completely mopey over the simple fact he lost yet again to Mario. And all of a sudden, here comes Bowser's sister, Claudine? Yeah, Claudine, and her daughter, Talia, Talisa. I don't know why I said Talfa. And they basically try to cheer Bowser up. Bowser bemoans the fact that, well, every time he tries to kidnap a princess, Mario and Luigi are there to stop him. So, Claudine issues, why don't you just take over a different kingdom? Why not Sarsar? No, we're not doing Sarsar Land. Why not? Don't ask. Please, don't. And ultimately, they get an invite. They decide we're gonna take over this random kingdom far, far away called the Crystal Kingdom. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. However, at the same time, Mario, Luigi, Daisy, and Peach all get an invite to the birthday party of the princess of Crystal Kingdom, Princess Crystal. Wink, wink. Eventually, they go to the kingdom. They say hi to Crystal. They meet a man named Sterling and also her head maid, Melody, and then Bowser eventually evades during the birthday party. Bowser finds out about sees this crystal that's inside the throne room called, what's it called? What is it called? What is it? The Power Crystal, which has the ability to grant any wish you want. Bowser wishes it to take over the kingdom, beats up the gang, sends it to the Mushroom Kingdom. Melody has to run away, manages to free Crystal in time, and manages to get the help of the Mario Brothers to eventually travel across the Crystal Kingdom to save it and defeat Bowser and Claudine, and also eventually they destroy the Power Crystal. Now, on the surface, this sounds like a really neat idea. It's basically it's styled like a classical 2D side-scroller Mario game. So something like the vein of Mario World, not Super Mario World, Super Mario 2 or 3, and all that jazz. The problem with the plot is a little too like the game. And that causes problems when, well, it's this long. There we go. I made it very clear that I'm kind of iffy on incorporating game elements into fan fiction for the sake of fan service. Like, it can be done. Like, there is a Chopper Clara, which incorporated Kirby style gameplay into the game, into that story, and it actually worked. Or how Super Paper Chopper incorporated Super Paper Mario gameplay into the story. That worked, but there's also a bunch for every of those two types of those two stories. There's a bunch of others that try to incorporate it and fail. Crystal Kingdom is one of them. It fails on the gameplay perspective because single every single fight is one very very short, and two is like copy and more or less copy and paste of each other because the author is trying to borrow too much gameplay and make it read like exactly almost like a one for one game match of the gameplay while in written form. That's when it starts to get bad when you're trying to one for one it. Meanwhile, in Chopper Clara, there are gameplay elements of Kirby in that story, but they're very, very minor because at the end of the day, the only gameplay elements that story has is just the copy abilities and also the copy bubbles. But that's really it. Outside of that, it's pretty much 100% just Chopper doing Chopper things in that story. There's also the problem in the story where it's not fleshed out enough. Okay, Mario and Luigi and Daisy and Peach are invited to the Crystal Kingdom. Okay, what's the Crystal Kingdom like? Like what is Crystal like as a person? What is like the whole shebang? Why she invited them to her birthday party now? Uh, there are a lot of unseen details that we don't know. We don't even know how like the whole point of the kingdom because we know like several kingdoms. We know Mushroom Kingdom. We know Sarzar Land. Um, the Bowser Kingdom or Dark Kingdom. No, I could put like Koopa Kingdom. Why am I having a brain fart there? I don't know. The Waffle Kingdom. Uh, although we never had seen the Waffle Kingdom before, so we don't really know what it looks like. There's semantics there. Point is, with that is, it's so bereft of any content because 90% of the story is entirely dialogue, and that causes the legs to kind of get cut out from under it and kind of achieve a balance of what you're trying to do and what story you're kind of trying to tell. Because unless you're doing a very specific type of story, having this heavy in dialogue, and this is just one chapter, and this is like almost entirely dialogue. It's not good. I will say I do like some of the ideas. I like the fact that no, another criticism. Despite the fact that the Mario Brothers and the princesses are invited, most of the focus is on melody. So why not just have it be melody? Like cut out the brothers, cut out the princesses, just make Melody the main hero. Like you could have just done that. I don't think I would have minded. I mean Bowser is fine. Oh hell, get rid of Bowser, just make Claudine the villain. I would have been fine with that. But going back to the whole point of the plot, you can't do a one for one. You can't do a one for one recreation of like the gameplay because it never translates well. Doesn't matter how hard you try, it's never fully going to you're never going to fully emulate the gameplay because that's two completely different mediums. The plot is completely bereft of content because the author focuses too much on dialogue and not enough on the prose aspect of it. And the focus is completely on the wrong group of characters because it's focusing on the maid. Even the conclusion where after they beat all the Koopalings and they fight Bowser and Bowser's wife and Bowser's sister and her wife, they all kind of fuse together somehow and everything. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Something about a very, very specific plot point. Oh yes. Oh yes. There is a very, very. Where is it? Right here. A very, very specific plot point. The power crystal. Can you guess what I'm going to say? The answer is simple. Why didn't Bowser, if the power crystal had the ability to grant any wish, why didn't Bowser just wish Mario dead? Why didn't he wish any of them dead? Granted, you can make the argument that it's like, oh, you're trying to emulate the Mario style, like the old school platform Mario style. Bowser doesn't really have it in him to kill the Mario Brothers in the mainline series. That's more of an art. That's more of a spin-off thing. Like, okay, that's fair because we've seen in various spin-offs that Bowser is willing to go out of his way to kill Mario. He nearly killed Mario in Paper Mario. He tried to kill. He implied to kill a bunch of people in Mario and Luigi Dream Team. People have actually died in Mario Super and Brothers in Time, although Bowser didn't really get involved in that. So yes, it makes sense why Bowser wouldn't wish the Mario Brothers dead because it's not this Mario, it's not this specific Bowser. However, there's always going to be that plot hole whenever you introduce a wishing component. You always need to always handle that specific plot hole because that's just always gonna nig anyone who reads that in the back of their head. It's like why didn't Bowser wish Mario dead or stuff like that. That's why there's always whenever they introduce in any medium any sort of wishing thing that has the power to grant wishes, there's always some kind of counterbalancing act. So for example, Fairly Odd Parents, they have an entire massive list of rules. The rules, because unlike other mediums, Fairly Odd Parents go to like a whole smorgasbord of kids. So there has to be some rules and regulations in order to prevent abuses of power. That makes sense. The genie from 1001 Arabian Nights. He couldn't manipulate minds, or more specifically, he couldn't make people fall in love. Disney reinterpreted that as like manipulating of brainwashing sort of thing, because that would just make the whole point of that story irrelevant. If Aladdin couldn't just randomly wish the princess to love him, yeah, that's still how to work for it. Um, Other wish granting devices. I could think of two more. Calypso from Twisted Metal. Theoretically, he can grant any wish he wants. The problem is he's a jackass. He can he'll literally just twist the words, kind of get himself off. It's like I'm so evil, but he also will like unhesitantly grant wishes on consequence if it's like either he can't really twist them in a way to like make himself laugh, or they're like so inconsequential. He's like, go ahead. Like, if I had to put an example, Twisted Metal 2, if you play that game as Hammerhead, their whole wish is they just want to fly. Apparently, they wanted the powers to fly. However, when they went to Calypso, they're like, oh, what do you want to wish for? It's like, we want to fly. And then they just immediately run out the building and then just kill and then just die. And then Calypso's like completely confused, holding up 2 plane tickets, like, what do I do with these? Showing that he literally granted the wish. It's just they kind of twisted, they kind of made the wish too vague, and they kind of shot themselves in the foot. He can grant wishes. He just chooses to want to twist them himself. The other wish granting device, I think, fall, and I honestly think this would probably be the closest analog to the Power Crystal would be the Miracle Mallet from Toho Project, that is wielded by Shin Miyamaru, and even then, that has like some rules and regulations. Only Inchlings can use it, which means until we get like more named Inchlings in the franchise, only Shin Miyamaru can use it. 2, it's on a recharge timer, which means it has to actually charge up. And 3, the mallet actually works on a give and take mentality, which means If you wish something, the mallet is expecting to get something in return. So you have to take. So if you wish for something like a house, there's a good chance you may just you'll have to give something up in appropriate reaction to get that house. The higher the risk, the bigger wish you want, the more risk is going to come associated with it. That's why like Shin Miyamoto mainly just uses to make herself tall because it's like, oh, she's like it's so inconsequential. The mallet's just like, oh yeah, it's that's why you need to have some kind of, and these are all examples of all these have like actual checks and balances in the respective universes. Can't brainwash the princess because that would defeat the moral of the story. Has a bunch of rules to prevent abuse of fairy godparents for nefarious schemes. The wish granter is a complete jackass and will just do it for fun. And also, it can only be used by a specific person, and it comes with like risk if she wishes for something too big. They're all risk and reward. You can't even in the Mario verse, like you have the power stars from Mario RPG, but their whole gimmick is they're specifically designed to only grant very small wishes, or even like the star spirits in Paper Mario. They basically the strong you can't grant wishes unless the star is powerful enough to be able to be capable of granting those wishes. So you can't just go, oh, Bowser want like in Paper Mario, Bowser gets the Star Rod, which is the source of power. He keeps wanting to get like wishes in order to get Princess Peach to follow him. However, the Star Spirits are actually rebuffing the wishes to prevent him from doing that. That's why Bowser only really like uses the rod to power himself up because it's implied in Paper Mario that as long as the Star Spirits deny the wishes, Bowser can't actually grant anything more than just giving him than something that will directly influence him right then and there, which is why he only wishes for like like to be invincible, because that's directly affecting that's directly influencing him, not anything around him. Or like the stars in Paper Mario, they only good grant good simple wishes like child wishes and stuff like that. And even then, like it's again consequential. They will refuse to grant wishes of anything more complicated, like I wish for a good harvest or I wish for a good day or something like that. That's it. Once you introduce something with this type of power, it's always going to cause a plot hole, and you need to close that plot hole as soon as possible. The fact that the author didn't do that is immediately bad writing. I know the author probably didn't intend to do it, but that's kind of the consequence of introducing these types of things. It's something you always have to be aware of. That's it with the plot hole. Plot. Characters. No characters. They exist, but there's no character arcs. There's no depth to any of the characters. There's no character development. They just exist, which certainly fits the aesthetic of acting like a game because they're old school style Mario games. They don't have character development. They don't have character arcs. They don't have any of that. So from that front, it's fine. But from trying to translate that one to one to writing, it doesn't translate well. Grammar wise, I didn't see any grammar errors. Pacing wise, I'm actually going to give the author some kudos here. This is actually paced pretty perfectly for what it's trying to accomplish. If the author if the author was trying to do a one-for-one recreation of a classical Mario style in the context of a speedrunner. Because, oh, yeah, a speedrunner would probably do something like this. It's very short, it's very brief, it's to the point. It doesn't dilly-dally on anything, except for, like, very at the end where they, like, the author is, like, clearly running out of ideas at the very end. You can make the argument that for trying to emulate the gameplay. It's way too fast. But I think it works somehow. It has the simple fact that you're translating, you're literally translating a side scroller with multiple levels into like a short story. I don't think you can properly translate one for one this type of gameplay without making it super fucking fast. You really just can't. And the fact that it's like implied that the Crystal Kingdom is like very small compared to the like even smaller than the Mushroom Kingdom. It's fine. I think that's fine. I think it's honestly fine. Would I recommend this story? No. Do I have a favorite part? Yes. There is actually a part that I kind of liked. It's actually should be right here, right? No, not this one. No, wait. I think it is this one. No, wait. I'm trying to remember. Oh, right here. This little line where Peach is like confronted by Bowser's wife is like, it's like you want to marry my husband. It's like Claudia, I don't want to marry her. Plus, not Peach's fault. She gets all looks like not helping because come on, it's Princess Peach. You want everyone wants the Peach. Then again, I've always been a Daisy enjoyer. Yes. But other than that, this is like the only line I liked because I think it was kind of funny and it got a chuckle out of me. But that's it. What would I fix about this story? Oh boy. So here's the thing. Before I preface this specific part, I want to at least mention why I think this story is written the way it is. If we go to the page, why is it white? I don't know why it's doing that. I honestly don't know. But that besides broken website things, regardless, what I think happened is I'm gonna teach you something really special. There are four different types of more types of stories based on length. There is micro stories. That is any story that is 0 words to 1,000 words. Those are micro stories. Short stories, which are 1,000 to 10,000 words. Regular length stories, 10,000 to 100,000. And then long stories, which are 100,000 on. This does not feel like a regular story. Instead, it feels like 20 chapters of micro fanfiction. And here's the thing. Micro Each one of these types of stories have differences in the rules and how you have to approach them. Like for instance, with all of the dialogue. This actually works for micro fanfiction because the stories are super duper short enough that you can reasonably get away with that without stretching it too long as you know what as long as you try to make it the dialogue worthwhile or have a meaning behind it. That doesn't necessarily translate to an over 20,000 word because all the dialogue starts to hinder the story because instead of trying to approach a story or trying to give us meaningful characters or dialogue and stuff like that, it's all dialogue, no action to what they're doing, no reasonable approachability to them. It it becomes a massive noose around their neck and it lets them go. And that thing will actually compound based on how you approach each of these types of stories. So like with long range stories, you want to try and pace things out. If you want to do a slow paced ending, so you got it. If you do a slow paced type of story, then you need to actually do a lot of setup. You need to actually showcase all the pieces and the themes that are being accomplished before you actually start moving on with the plot and the characters. The fast-paced story, we have to get a little short, little introduction to each character, and more action-packed sequence. If you're going for a horror, how long do you keep the stretch, the whole horror aspect of it without it getting too draining? There is lots of nooks and crannies and tiny little differences between all these stories that compounded make a big difference in how long you want the story to be. And that's what I think Tiana is writing 20 microfics instead of one long fic, because all these chapters are very barely interconnected with each other. Instead, they just feel like just microfics. No, what do I do to change the story? Well, the first thing I would do is get rid of every single named Mario character except for Bowser. What I would do is have the beginning be the same. Bowser is kind of lounging around. He's kind of bummed over losing yet again to the Mario Brothers. Claudine and Talisa show up, get a prop, give us like a proper introduction to those two, like, or at least a better introduction to them, as well as the other siblings that Claudine has. Claudine shows up to try and cheer Bowser up because she finds out that Bowser lost again. They kind of talk to each other. They kind of start revving each other a bit. Bowser promotes the fact like, I can't. You see, every time I go take someplace over, they're the Mario Brothers. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Have Claudine kind of cajole her. I can cajole Bowser. Bowser responds by challenging Claudine. It's like, why don't you do it? If you're constantly bugging me about, let's say, Claudine's bemoaning, like making fun of Bowser's bad luck. It's like, oh, he always seems to fail at taking over kingdoms. Bowser, why don't you do it? Why don't you try it? And Claudia is like, not Claudia. Claudine's like, right, I will. Decides to set her. Bowser immediately thinks, oh, he's gonna go after the Mushroom Kingdom. No, because that wasn't the challenge. The challenge was take over a kingdom. So Claudine sets her sights on the Crystal Kingdom. It's like, I will take over this Crystal Kingdom. And the Mario Brothers will never be able to stop me. Have the two main protagonists be Sterling and Melody, because now you have two characters that you can reasonably work well together instead of a bunch of characters. You have a small duo. Instead of two brothers, you have the head maid, who basically wants to save the king, who wants to save the kingdom and honor her duties as the head maid to be able to take care of the princess, and Sterling, who wants to save the kingdom in order to appropriately offer his hand in like marriage or even like a date to the princess, and be there for her and be someone she hopes to finally fall in love with. They have the party, but none of them, but the Mario Brothers aren't there. Daisy and Peach aren't there. They do the whole power. They do the whole spiel. Melody talks to Crystal inside the castle. This is where you should approach closing the plot hole over why there's even the power crystal in the first place. Here's how you do it: have the power stone be tied to a recharge system, just like the Miracle Mount. So basically, the stronger, the bigger the wish is, the more it has to recharge. You can also have it tied into the whole crystal aesthetic of the kingdom. Say like it can only recharge in the kingdom. Like you need special crystals in order to recharge it, and that's how the Crystal Kingdom has its prosperity. So the head maid's supposed to prevent any corruption and basically acts as a checks and balances. It's a checks and balances to prevent like corruption or the royalty, or even like any other nonsense. Crystal bemoans the fact that she wants to get rid of the crystal because she thinks that the kingdom is starting to over rely on it, but doesn't know if. But after she tried to wish it to destroy itself, it doesn't. Like it just doesn't. Like you can have it be like it can't directly interact with itself. It can do all this mind shattering like broken stuff except break it apart because it you just can't. That way, when Claudine shows up at the castle, takes the crystal, takes wishes to take over the kingdom, captures Crystal, and just throws Melody just far away. And Sterling tries to fight back. They fight him. He manages to get away in time. He's trying to figure out what to do. Have him consider actually going to the Mario Brothers. He runs into Melody. Melody bemoans the fact it's like, no, wait a minute. You know about this Crystal Kingdom more than anyone. You think you can help me? Always keep the. I think it would be best to always keep like possibly getting the Mario Brothers involved as like a red herring to kind of showcase the growth, like how like that could be their character arcs. Like they're not only they want to, not only do you want to have them both save Crystal, but you can also have them compared to sort of like the inverse of Mario and Luigi. Like Sterling would technically be the number two. He's basically a very tall, suave man, brimming with confidence. And Melody's kind of like a somewhat like a very courageous short girl who just want short toad who basically is trying to swallow up her courage and protect her princess throughout and doesn't care how she gets hurt. You could easily do like a different take on the Mario and Luigi dynamic with these two, and have it, and you could even incorporate like the classical, like at least the idea of the classical Mario gameplay by just have them cross like different locations or different areas. Claudine would like be is aware that they're coming back, and they're trying to basically and they have to beat up. You can still have Claudine break the crystal, and this is the other part of the plot hole where like either one of them can break apart. Like they run into what the first one name John. John's immediately the first one is like, I wish for them to vanish forever, and then it's like can't do anything because Claudine shattered the crystal, and now its power is like so weak it can't really do anything. So that way, there is like an in-universe reason why they can't wish for Melody and Sterling to go away. So in essence, acting like a sort of portable version of the Star Rod. They can't interact with the world around them except directly to themselves. So you give them like all these sorts of weird powers. It's like, oh, you're get creative, like showcase what the characters are, what each of these new Koopalings are like. Showcase how we're gonna use them. Maybe as they enter each area, as Claudia is trying to stop them, and Melody is using like her knowledge of the area to kind of maneuver around them. You can incorporate a lot of different aspects of various 2D elements. You can even like come up with like interesting power ups. Like it's the Crystal Kingdom. Do it like a mirror style pat. Like give them a power up that lets them reflect projectiles and stuff like that. It's like you can do a lot of crazy stuff with like the power crystals, like rainbow, like reflections, refractions. You can do a lot of crazy stuff. Um, and you can, and honestly, you would have to make it longer. This story, if you have to do the story like this, it definitely have to be longer than 20,000. I'm probably like 80,000. Like have each area be like 10 to 15,000 words just dedicated to setting up each Koopaling, what their personality's like, what the area is like, setting up everything around them, giving it time to build up to each Koopaling, and eventually they get to Claudine and Langston and they team up, and they eventually beat the two. They send them they save the crystal, but since the crystal's gonna take time reforming, you can have Claudine like how be smart and like take a crystal with her. And it's like it brings it to Bowser's like, haha. Even if I lose, I still win because I got this wish granting power. Shows up the crystal, it's just a dead rock. It's like, it's just a rock. I wish you had an afro. Yeah, nice try. And you can end it on a humorous note. There's so much you can do with the idea of, and setting up the Crystal Kingdom. You can just get so creative with like the idea of a Crystal Kingdom that the fact that it's just generic Mario locations, like there's a desert, there's a mountain, there's the sky, which are all clearly references to Mario 3. You there's so much you can do with the idea. I think I think you should rewrite this. Like you can leave this version up, rewrite the whole thing, and kind of let's hell just have fun with the idea. Just say how bonkers can I make the concept work without it going too long. I think I think the author just scratched the surface on what on just the core concept of a Crystal Kingdom can do. I think just 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 take the idea as far as you can. I think it'll work. Uh, yeah. This has been the Crystal Kingdom by Tiana Koopa. I do apologize, Tiana, for I don't know if you'll like the story or like my review or not. Just know that I'm not trying to be mean or anything. These are just my honest thoughts. So this has been Dark Symphony 777 and cut.